Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I have three fun Father Day ideas for you today. Whether it's for dad, papa, or grandpa, or a pet dad, or a new dad in training, I have three ideas for you. There are three of us today in this collaboration. We have myself, Michelle, we have Jetta with Craft Along with Jay, and we have Gwen with At Home with Gigi. I will link their channels along with a playlist in my description box below so that you can just click on that playlist and watch all of us back to back. Now, project number one is so fun. I think you're just going to love this idea. A faux baby footprint.
I'm going to start with an idea for father to be. Now I have these. I got out some paper and I got out some embellishments, but we're going to move those aside right now. And we are going to start with a little adhesive magnet. And this is a magnet sheet. I'm going to just pull one sheet out. And I got this from Mr. Pin. I have their business card here. So here's their QR code on where I got these. So I got one of those out. And now I want to get a piece of paper that's going to fit over the top of that. And I want it to be, I also have a set of stickers. I'm not stickers, stamps. And this is by May. May made it. And this is called Happy. And this has Happy, and then it has birthday, wedding, Mother Day, Easter, Father's Day. That's what we are going to focus on today. We also have new baby, and we have a banner we can use. We're looking for something for new baby. And so I'm thinking this looks pretty good. I might just do this one. So this magnetic sheet is a 4x6, and this is from a 6x6 paper pad. So all I need to do is trim this down to the 4-inch mark. I'm using my little Creative Memories mini cutter here, and that will fit on the front of that perfectly. Now what I want is this will be attached to here, but I'm going to build up first. This one's a little bit paper crafty, but I think you're really going to like it. So please bear with me. It's something you can do with your kiddos if you want to. So it's that simple. Okay, so I went through my stash and I found some of the frames and centers that I've cut out. I've had them for a while. And I found these two colors I think would go really, really well with this. So we're going to do that. And what I want to do, I know this may sound silly, but I want to create a father in training magnet for anybody maybe who wants to tell their dad or tell their husband they're pregnant, or give them something special on Father's Day if they're first-time father in the waiting. So the best way that I've done these in the past, but I've never shared it. So I want to find an ink, and of course they're not going to have a baby handprint or a baby footprint, but you can make a baby footprint, and I'm going to show you how, and we're going to do that on this card right here. This is Stampability's black pigment. I'm going to get that out. I'm also going to have me a Clorox wipe to wipe my skin off afterwards. You can use a baby wipe. You can use rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab. This is what I have available right here at my desk. So that's what I'm going to use. Sorry, I was putting my ink away. So in order to create a footprint, you probably did this when I did it when I was a kid too. Oh my goodness, I would blow on the window in the car when it would fog up, and you'd blow on it. And then I'd take my hand and put it in a fist like this and press it on the window, and then dot, 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 and make the little footprint on the window. Did you guys ever do that? Let me know in the comments below. Oh my goodness, I remember doing that as a child. And I thought, oh my gosh, we could create one on a card for a father in waiting or a father in training. So, all right, let's see here. Wish me luck. Now you're going to come in and make some little toes. And to make the little toes, I'm going to have to use my pinky. And I'm just going to big toe and do littler ones. Now that's not the best, but you get the idea. And I think what I might try to do is try to get a little more heel in there. All right. You can do this with new baby feet. Just make sure you get the ink for that. I'm going to now get my clickable stamps. And I'm going to spell out Father in Training. Now these clickable stamps I got on Amazon. I will leave them in my description box below, a link to them if you're interested. These work really good. I've never used the Michaels ones, but these, they snap together like this. If you want it to spell out, they're spacers, so you can put it and you can build it. There's several letters here. You can, like this is the N, and I'm going to put that. These two pieces will slide right together, and I can center that and just stamp out Father. I'm going to use my VersaFine ink for my stamping letters. It is a much better ink to use if you're doing words or fine detail. And I'm going to put it, yeah, much better. The ink makes a difference, guys. So I'm going to just look at that. All right, I'm going to get my letters cleaned off and we'll start building. Before I do, I want to make my little toes a little bit better here, so I have a Q-tip. So I'm going to basically I'm going to take part of that sheet, and that's an adhesive back there for me. And this is what we're going to place it on. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to line these up. Once it's down, guys. So burnish that. Look, I went off the edge. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. That's me. I think I sit crooked. I burnish that down. I can trim that off if I want to. I'm going to place my frames on here, and I'm going to start and I'm going to attach it with my art glitter glue. You can use glue sticks. I love art glitter glue, especially if I'm going to give a gift and I want to make sure it's going to be on there. I will use the art glitter glue. It does not take much. You want to make sure that you are putting it on a very thin layer. This stuff is water soluble. You put too much on and it will bubble your paper. So I'm going to cockeyed that, and then I'm just going to use that to press that down. That ink is dry. So there's that. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to put this blue frame over the outside at an angle as well. And that helps with any unevenness that you have in your project, but it also adds whimsy. If you want to put it on there and make sure everything is straight, I do have a stamp positioner. You can get stamp positioners. I have a Tim Holtz one. You can also use just a magnetic base. If you have a magnetic mat, you can use that. And so here, I'm just going to, and I'm going to come in and trim off anything hanging over the edge. And we're just going to push that down. This glue will dry clear. And let's trim it off. I'm going to turn it over to the back and I can see right where that needs to be trimmed. And this just needs a tiny bit up here. You can also use your blade and a ruler. And there you have a fun card. You can actually, it's now a magnet. I should have inked those edges on that one. Oh well, oh well. But there is idea number one, fun magnet, father in training. You can do grandfather, you can do this for Mother's Day, like I said. Let's move on to the next one.
Hey y'all, it's Michelle. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and if you can, hype. It really does help my channel. Project number 2 is perfect for those pet papas.
Okay, so for this one is a very personal gift you can give. I'm going to make 2 of these today, one for my husband and one for myself. And I'm making it, this is a wonderful Father's Day gift as well for those who maybe have pet babies. Okay, when we lost our Jazzy, I kept some of her hair when she passed. I have some UV resin. I have some keychains. I have these are actually earring or pendant molds. I have my UV light, some pliers, tweezers, and some tiny charms. We're going to make a keepsake keychain. Now, this is my Let's Resin leveling table because our house was built in the 40s and nothing in this house is level. This works great for your resin projects. So I've got my little lamp aside. I don't need my pliers quite yet. What we're going to do is I'm going to make just 2 small charms to go on keychains because my husband is not one that likes a lot of things on his keys. So I'm going to go ahead and spritz this with some rubbing alcohol, and then we're going to go ahead and just let that dry. And what this will do is it will help any air bubbles. Look, I already have a Jazzy hair on there. Okay, so let me get these wiped down and ready for prep. So I'm going to start with some UV resin, and I'm going to just add some into the bottom. And I don't want this full because I want to be able to put some hair in between there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little ball tool here, and I'm just going to move it around to the edges. This ball will not scratch my mold. Your molds are very delicate. I've got hair already. Okay, making sure it's around into those edges. Okay. Now I'm going to start with just a little bit of the hair in here. She was a Yorkie, and she was old, so her hair is very, very gray. So I want to see if I can take this and maybe just take that little curl, press it right on in. Okay, let me add some to this side here. When you're using UV resin, you don't want a lot of things in there that can block the curing from the UV light. So I'm going to do this in like layers, and I see there are some little bubbles in there, and I want to avoid that as best I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my heat gun. I don't want to use a torch on this because it has hair in it. I don't want the hair to catch fire. So I'm just going to take my heat gun. I'm going to let it heat up just a moment. Now I'm going to come in with my light. And we are going to let that go. Okay, so now I have some little pieces that I want to put in here, and I want to put a little rose gold cross in mine.
And so I'm going to lay down some of that UV resin. I'm going to place my little cross right side up, facing down, and I'm going to just maneuver it and sit it in that UV resin and cure it. Once that was cured, I came back in and put another layer over the back of that. And I used my little ball tool to spread that out to the edges, making sure I'm going up and around where that post will be. I'm using this Craftcrete, and it is just a white pigment, and I put it on top of the liquid resin. It's not cured yet. And now I'm just spreading it out, giving it a little bit of a starburst type look. And now I'm going to cure it. Once I did that, I'm going to come back in with another coat of that clear UV resin. I will spread this out once again, making sure I'm going all the way out to those edges and all up and around where that post is, so I have a good clean hole. I did the same thing with both pieces that I created here, and then I let them cure for 5 minutes under my UV lamp. Now that they are fully cured, I'm going to go ahead and pop them out, and that is a brayer tool that I have. And if I had any little bit of brain that goes around that edge, that's what this will just trim right on off as you go around those edges. I love this little tool. This is not the handle that came with it. I don't know where my handle is at, so I used an X-Acto knife handle and just screwed it in there, and that looks perfect. Now I'm using a bead reamer, going through the holes, making sure they're all clear. They were great, but it also gives a little sand around those edges. Now let's put another coat over the top. This is going to give me the dome effect that I want over the top of this, and I'm spreading it all the way out to the edges. This will help cover up any hair that may have been poking out the bottom, and I'll come back in and trim off any if it was hanging over the side. And there, those have been cured. Now I'm going to flip them over, and I have this gold gilding ink. It's an ink. I'm going to turn it over and use a paintbrush and just dab on that gold ink to the back side of each of these pendants. Once this ink dries, that's going to give us a nice background. And when you flip it over, you're going to see everything in there with the hair, the cross, the white, and then the gold gild. I love this. This has turned out so adorable. So I'm opening my jump rings here, and I wanted to make sure it was a large enough jump ring to go through that whole thickness of my resin piece. You slide it in, attach your keychain, and close that jump ring right back up. And now you've got an adorable keepsake that is close to your heart. Now, I showed these to Joe, and he was tearing up. He loved little Jasmine as much as I did. That was our little baby girl. So if you like what you're seeing, think about following me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. You can check out these QR codes here. If you'd like to support my channel, you can join my YouTube, or you can subscribe for free. You can also buy me a coffee, which helps support my channel as well. On to project number 3. This is a fun one.
For this one, I have a wood square rectangle, and this is 5 by 7. You can get these at Walmart, probably Dollar Tree. I have a Chalk Couture stencil. Come fishing, keep it real. My husband loves to fish. And I also have this one that's like a ticket book, and this one says number 1 Dad right here, so I'll probably use that as like a little tag on here somewhere. I have some different colors. I'm going to use some green, some espresso. I don't need that shimmer melon. I've got some green and cadet, and I have some black. So I will close those up, and then I'll keep my clip on these until I'm ready for them. And let's go ahead and get our surface prepped. I am going to I'm going to go ahead and give this a little sand. It's really kind of rough. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a sand down, clean it up, and then we'll be ready to start.
All sanded and cleaned up. I have my Waverly chalk paint in plaster, and I'm going to give this a nice coat all across the front and the sides of this little wooden plaque. This is going to give me a nice base, clean base to start on with my stencil. Once that's totally dry, I'm going to go ahead and come in and prep my stencil. This is the first time I'm using this little screen print here. And so I have my microfiber cloth. I don't have one from Chalk Couture. I just use a regular microfiber cloth. And I go ahead and I put it on there to kind of give it a de-stick a little bit. Otherwise it pulls your paint up as you're working. So I'm going to do that a few times before I place it down on my block. I want to try to get it on there as even as possible. So I do try to get right on over that and place that on my block. Now I use sample packs of the paste colors because I don't go through it fast enough, and it gives me an opportunity to try all sorts of colors. When I get this open, I clip it with a binder clip, and it did dry on the edges, but all I had to do was come in and cut that edge open, and it was ready to go. This is where the fun begins. I have my little squeegee here, and I'm taking and starting with my black Chalk Couture paste, and I'm just going over the outside edge and the words on the top and the bottom in this black. Now this is sped up quite a bit. It does take time and patience, and I want to make sure I'm not going over the other areas that I want in different colors. So here I went ahead and slowed it back down to normal speed, and you can see it does take some time, and so I'm just going over it, making sure that that color is in that screen print, and I'm taking it, and I think if I had a smaller squeegee like at the end of a pen or something like that, that would be perfect for these little areas instead of trying to use the small squeegee here. If I showed you the whole video in regular speed, this would take forever, and I don't want to bore you with that. So I went ahead and sped this up. This is 3 times the speed here, and I'm going to just start with the black all the way around the edges. When I get that black laid down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on the edge of my stencil, and I'm going to lift that just a bit. I'm going to make sure my little spatula is clean first, but I'm going to come in and lift the corner just a little bit right there and pull it up and separate that stencil, that screen print, from the bottom of my plaque. And then I just let it fall down. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the top. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'm just going to make sure all of those edges are showing, and then I'm going to press down the next area that I need to actually put paste on. Now I'm just going to put some music on and let you watch this and not have to hear me babble on through the whole process. But I'm just using some different colors here that I had samples of and going through each little area, and then I'll come back and I will lift it up and let it sit back down so I can move on to the next area. final reveal. Let's pull this off. This is the most satisfying thing. And this is a rustic stencil, so it does not show like a full circle all the way around. It looks like it's been sanded off in areas, and I love it. I thought it needed a little something around the edges, so I'm doing a dry brush of some hazelnut to fill that in to make it look like that board had been sanded off just a little bit, and it really highlights that piece. I love it. And I think Joe's going to love it too. All right, let's take a sneak peek of everything we created. And there you have it, my crafty friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe button. Please hit that like button, share, and leave a comment. That does help my channel quite a bit. If you try any of these, I would love to see your creations. And if you want me to showcase them, just send them to my email, thesouthernshell@gmail.com, and I will showcase your creations on my next video. Guys, thank you so much. As always, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.